Hi, I'm Dylan Rodriguez. I'm a professor at University of California, Riverside. The link between carceral abolition and police abolition, I would articulate as being part of the larger context of what I would call asymmetrical warfare. In the context of nation states like the US, I think it is a misnomer to keep referring to these things as part of a criminal justice and policing apparatus exclusively. Because what you actually see in the day-to-day experiences of people who navigate and survive these forms of state violence is that the protocols and the processes and even the experiences, the long archive of transgenerational experiences by people who are policed by anti-Black state violence, who are policed by the criminalization of border crossing and so forth, what they're actually giving us accounts of sounds more like casualties. It sounds more like the kind of reproduced casualties of a generally one-sided structure of normalized warfare. And part of the problems that you see arising with some of the progressive reformist struggles, including elements of the police defunding movement, is that they still have a tendency to replicate the assumption that police power actually needs to exist, that the institution of police need to continue to be part of our everyday lives, right? There is a kind of stubborn persistence, stubborn loyalty to those things as forms of power that actually provide social order. That is one of the primary ideological, cultural, conceptual, political challenges to abolitionists, activists, scholars, teachers, workers, organizers, artists, and everybody else, is to begin to kind of foster, to induce, to inspire a way of disaffiliating from one's almost religious loyalty to these forms of detaining, incarcerating, and anti-Black and colonial power. The term and concept and rhetoric of abolition has accumulated some traction well beyond what I probably would have dreamed it would be. I see and hear people trying to affiliate themselves with abolitionist politics and vision in ways I would have never anticipated, right? There's a lot of people who are abolition curious, which is great. I love it. And the other part of this is you actually see the architects of state power growing their expertise in expropriating the terms of abolition, right? Stealing them, deforming them, and repurposing them so that they're actually feeding into processes and reforms that are counter-abolitionist. Reformism is a political ideology that borders on religious, kind of pseudo-religious ideology. It's a notion that the only thing you can do is reform an existing system, right? That is the only thing that is acceptable. And it is itself an extension of policing. Because what it actually does, it does this incredible work of policing the political and cultural imagination. And folks have called this, right to me, they'll call it, this is incremental abolitionism, which is a kind of contradiction in terms, it just doesn't make sense, because the incrementalism is what actually undermines the collective commitment to start to think creatively about how we can build forms of infrastructure that feed housing security, food security, health security, emotional security, recreational security, educational security. That's what security actually is. If you look at the long history of abolitionist movements, that's in part what people were struggling for.